In lesson 1.3, we're going to be looking at an article that's called How Are You Like a Blue Whale? And so we'll be looking at similarities between the human body and the blue whale. And just to get you started, the warm up showed a comparison between a human arm and a cat front leg. And what you can see here is that they have some shared structures. So we can see that the upper part of the limb for both has one main bone. The forearm has two bones side by side, a radius and an ulna. And then there's this cluster of little small bones that make up our hand and make up the cat's paw. And those are the distal bones. And so what we can see is that humans and cats must be related somehow, that we must have a shared ancestor because we have these shared structures. So somehow we inherited these bone configurations from an ancestor, and we inherited the same configurations. The explanation for why we would have the same bones in our arm as a cat has in its leg is evolution. And that is just the process by which species adapt to environmental changes over a very long time. So, this is related to our last unit about natural selection. Natural selection is how a population can change, and it can be looked at kind of short term. But if you imagine those changes happening where more adaptive traits arise and organisms with those adaptive traits survive and reproduce better, happening for millions of years, then you can end up with entirely new species. And that is the idea of evolution. Okay, so in this chapter, we're going to be studying some shared structures. In this lesson particularly, you're going to be looking at shared structures between human and whale. And this is what I want you to be able to keep in mind as we're comparing different organisms. You want to look at the number of bones, the size of bones, the placement of bones, and those are important things that you can classify the organism by. So we can say that the human and the cat have these shared structures because the bones are similar in shape, size, and location. Okay, there's a new sim in this unit, and it's called the Evolutionary History Sim. And for activity 5, you're going to be doing a little scavenger hunt using the sim. So I want to show you the sim and sort of the main things that it has to offer. The idea is that it's showing you information about some of the fossils in the Natural History Museum. So this is the museum where Dr. Sadiq brought her new fossil. We're going to be trying to figure out where this new fossil goes in the museum. So the sim is showing us some of the other fossils in that same museum. And things you can find out about these fossils is where in the world were they found and how are they related to other species. So let's hop over to the sim, and it starts you out like this. We're going to start with the free explore. And Free Explore starts you out on this map of the world. You can click on any of these sites. These are different dig sites, and these will show you one certain fossil that was found at that dig site. Something that you can do is, let's pick this one. You can study that fossil. So this one is called Tiktaalik. Tiktaalik is a fossil that was found and is sort of known as like the missing link between fish and amphibians. It has some features of a fish and some features of an amphibian. So you can look at these 3 tabs up here. There's exhibit, appearance, and structures. Exhibit tells you a little bit about the fossil itself. Appearance tells you about the organism, the whole thing, when it was alive, and you can see kind of an illustration of what we think Tiktaalik maybe looked like. And then structures will show you some of the different body parts that are shared structures between different organisms in the museum's exhibits. So we can see that Tiktaalik has pelvic bones. In orange over here, we can see that he has nostrils and he's got distal bones, okay? Radius as well, right there, and ulna. Okay, so um, the soccer ball here is giving you a little key about the size. So we can see that Tiktalik's head was about as tall as a soccer ball. His body was maybe the length of 6 or 8 soccer balls in a row. And sometimes when you're looking at a fossil, this won't be a soccer ball. It'll be something like a car to show comparisons for bigger fossils. Or you might even see something smaller like an apple. And that way you'll know sort of the relative size. If you see something that has a car here, it's a lot bigger than Tiktaalik because Tiktaalik is being compared to the size of a soccer ball. All right, you can do a couple things with these fossils. One is adding them to your collection. And if you do that, it shows up over here. The other way I could add something to my collection is if I were to just click on it, I could add it directly to my collection without studying it. Okay. We've got 2 main views in this sim, the map view, which is what we're looking at here, and then the tree view. And we'll go over to the tree view next. And tree view opens up with a family tree kind of showing all life on Earth. So from bacteria all the way to plants and animals. And if I wanted to look at animals, I would be able to open up these 2 arrows to zoom in more. So we're starting out really big, zoomed way, way out, but I can zoom in to look more closely at certain groups. So here I have all of animals, from sponges to sea stars. There's the Darwin's bark spider. Vertebrates is anything with a backbone. And we can see that vertebrates is a big category. So they've compressed it all into this little box here. And if I want to know more about vertebrates, I would just expand that. And I can see that all of these categories are vertebrates, including mammals. So that's the tricky thing about this sim is you have to remember that whatever's at the bottom here is also part of this bigger group, right? So if we're looking at all life, animals is a part of that, but we can look at animals more closely. If we're looking at animals, vertebrates are a part of that group. They're a type of animal. They're just animals that have backbones. Okay, I can also go through my tree navigation and sort of skip levels if I want to. So let's say I know what I want to look at is something in mammals. I can click on mammals and the tree will zoom me in to mammals. The other thing that I can do is try to figure out where my different fossils fit. So I know that Tiktaalik is somewhere between a fish and an amphibian. I'm going to go back and say, let's see if we can find him somewhere near animals. And first I'm going to put him in the wrong place just to show you what will happen. Okay, Tiktaalik, I know he's not an arthropod like a bark spider. But if I drag him over there, that's what it's going to tell me is he doesn't belong in this part of the tree. If I say show me, I will get zoomed into the part of the tree where Tiktaalik does belong. And then I can drag and drop him into one of these spots. Let's see. I'm not sure which one he goes in. Let's try that one. Nope. There we go. Okay, so what we can see is that the tree will always branch into 2 lines. And sometimes the line has a little red circle with an eye in it. If you see that, you can click it and it's going to tell you what the new structure was that made this group different from anything that had come before. So 375 million years ago, this lineage evolved a neck. What that means is since the neck is here on this branch, everything that comes after has a neck. Anything that came before did not have a neck. Okay, so anything from this line and up. Let's see what this is. A humerus, a radius, and ulna. These are all arm bones. So anything from this point on is now going to have all of those arm bones. Anything higher up in the tree does not have those exact bones. Okay, so for activity 5, you're going to be going to My Amplify, and it's asking you to do a scavenger hunt. And so you're going to go to the sim, and I want you to try to figure out the answers to these questions. So it'll tell you sort of what to press and what to look for, and then you're going to answer the question based on what happens next. Okay, so that's all you need to do for activity 5, and then you are done with this unit plan. All right, good luck.